Alrighty, guys. Thank you and welcome to the Unbounded Ambition podcast, episode number 2. I'm Paul Winston and I'm going to be your host. First, wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who reached out to us through email, through social media, with all the inquiries and questions, and we got some comments and we got some constructive criticism as well, which was great. You know, it's always welcome. Again, like I said, I'm new to this and I want to create the best content possible for you guys. Now, within the realm of my capabilities at this moment in time, I will do my best. But if you guys have any suggestions or otherwise, please feel free and keep them coming. So for episode 2, I got a lot of inquiries, a lot of questions of people wondering how I create ideas. How do I come up with ideas to write scripts? How do I come up with ideas to create a story? How do I come up with ideas with character arcs and the beginning, the ending? I got a recurring question of how do I come up with these ideas? So I wanted to touch on that for this episode, and I want to talk about the how as well, because the how is a very, very important factor in this whole process. The creative side of my brain is always working. So the ideas, they kind of come freely at this time. Now in the beginning, before I really knew what was going on, I hadn't tapped into it yet. I hadn't tapped into the creative side of my brain quite yet. So it took a little bit of time for me to kind of, understand what was happening when I would get these crazy thoughts or ideas or whatever. When I talked about in episode 1, when I moved to Los Angeles to pursue this career professionally, I had actually started well before that. And I had to think about that. Remembering back when I was 17, I was a senior in high school and I had a video production class, and the assignment was something real simple. I remember it was like, create a character, we have your actor as a character interacting with another character or characters. It was something real simple like that. And it just, our video production teacher just wanted to see how we frame the shot and kind of just interact. It wasn't an acting class, it was video production. So she just wanted her main focus was about the shots and how well we did with, whatever the assignment was for angles or whatever. And I took it and ran with it. I got the guys, all these kids that I was, in class with. Most of them, I think I was the only senior at least in this group, maybe not in the whole class, but in this group. I took it because I just needed an elective to fill my credits. And I was like, oh, I'm already in drama. Let me take video production. That sounds cool. Cool. So here we go. Right. Anyway, it was mostly like freshmen and sophomore, I think, in my class. These kids, and I was already driving, they weren't driving yet, so they kind of looked up to me in the sense of, oh man, we could jump in, and I had this old school 1966 Mustang, and it was loud, and it looked tough, and, it's just high school, man. But anyway, so I ended up on binder paper, started writing out this story, and I wanted to tell a story about like an action, like a James Bond, kind of Jason Bourne, some kind of character like that. So I created this spy film called Max Kaufman, and we shot this thing all for video production, and it just kind of flowed. It didn't make sense, looking back at it now. If I could see that film now, I would. By the way, if that film ever surfaced somewhere, I remember we transferred it and recorded it on VHS. Very dated, but it was super cool and just a great experience. And the best part about this is that the assignment was only supposed to be, this little film that we were supposed to shoot with these characters interact with each other, it was only supposed to be a couple minutes. We ended up shooting this thing, and it was like a 20-minute short film that we made. And it was full of action, me racing my Mustang around, me beating people up, chasing people, stealing things, all this fun stuff that you 17-year-olds want to do. And here we are. Look, I'm still doing the same thing at 37, but that's a whole nother topic we talk about in another episode. But my teacher was so impressed when we were all done with this film, this little short film, that she showed it to every single period as like hey, here's the standard. This was set by Paul Winston, so let's follow that. So then I'm walking around school, and mind you, I was not a cool kid in school whatsoever. Nobody knew who I was. I wasn't part of the cool kids. I wasn't in the cool clique. Nothing like that. And all of a sudden, I'm walking around school, and people are like, hey, you're the Max Kaufman. They started calling me a character name. And it was definitely a cool experience. Definitely cool. But it just goes to show you that I've always kind of had this creative, artistic energy flowing through me. And I just let it flow. At that, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just let it happen. I didn't know I was putting myself out there for the whole school to judge me and pick me apart, but I just let it happen. Right. So back to the point here, to the question, if you're stuck on how to come up with an idea, I would suggest to break it down into steps. Although I don't technically have the problem of creating ideas, I do get writer's block just like any other writer. So, like I said, in a circumstance of a writer's block, when I'm already creating a story, I will put something down in a rough draft. I will put something down just for the sake of moving the story along. Now, we don't want to have scenes in a script where they're there just to move the story along for the sake of moving it along. Of course, we want every scene to have equal importance to the scene before it and the scene after it, because it needs to move your story in the direction you want it to go. So I would break it down into steps. I would start with, okay, what genre of a film do I want to make? Action, comedy, drama, thriller, etc., right? I would think about, what's the length? Do I want to make a short film? Do I want to make a feature film? Or do I want to do like just a little experimental ultra short film or a pilot or whatever, right? Think about what length you want. Okay? What era does this film take place in? Is it the future? Is it the present? Or is it the Wild West? Right? What elements what's involved in this? Is it about a family? Is it about families? Is it about a nomad? Is it about a hero? Is it about a heroine? Is it about a villain? Is it about, love? There's so many different elements that can, be within this. But the most important question that you need to ask yourself is, what is my message? Okay. So if you write that down on a piece of paper, you're stuck on how to come up with an idea. Okay. Maybe you got some sort of an idea, you got some sort of a direction you want to go in, but what is the message of your film? That's the question you really want to ask. What's the message? Okay. Then you can move into the next step. Do I want my story to have a happy ending? Is it sad? Is it realistic? Is it does it leave you on a cliffhanger? Is it setting up for a sequel? These are things that you can start moving into. So again, in filmmaking and this line of work and this career, there's no rules. You can do whatever you want to do. You can think outside the box for sure. I always encourage that. I mean, look at Quentin Tarantino. He's known for thinking outside the box and doing things differently. Filmmaking is so empowering because it's yours. It's your story. So tell it how you want to tell it and begin. That's kind of the main component is, don't get caught in the how. Don't get caught in the how. Just begin. Right? Start with some bullet points. Just take a piece of paper or on your computer, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm old school. So I go with a pen or a pencil and paper because there's some sort of a connection with my brain when I take a pen or a pencil and I write it down and I see it in the physical. There's some sort of a connection for me that just works better. So that's what I do. You don't have to do that. But start with some bullet points, then move into like an outline of some sort, and then move into like a beat sheet, beat by beat. How does your film go? How does the story go? What do the characters do beat by beat? Okay, boom, 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 move it along. And you don't even have to go in that necessary order. That's just what I do. I mean, and I kind of created that as I started moving along, creating scripts and stories. And then you move into your script, and another thing I used to get caught up on is worrying what everybody's going to think. I'm writing a first draft, even up to my 10th draft, whatever. Once you get to a certain, point in the script and the series of scripts, let's say you're on your 7th draft, you might be at a point where you could be like, okay, I feel comfortable with this, with some people reading it and giving me some feedback, because you are going to want some feedback. But don't worry about what anybody else is going to think. Nobody has to read this yet. Nobody has to read this but you. Always remind yourself that it's a work in progress, right? It's a work in progress, so you just keep on scripting, you keep on writing, and you keep on going. Nobody has to read it until you're ready for them to read it. Again, the key thing is to begin. The how and not starting, we can get paralyzed by that. It's a fear. It's a fear of, what everybody's going to think. Like I said, if you're thinking about somebody's going to read it as it is, fear of failure, or, fear of the unknown. Here's the best advice I can give when it comes to writers, and in life too. You're going to fail. You're going to fall. But it's needed. It's necessary for you to fall. It's necessary for you to fail. This is how you're going to learn. This is how you're going to grow. And this is how you're going to get better as a writer. Because we're talking in the context of writing. As a writer, you're going to get better, inevitably. But apply that to your life as well. Don't be afraid to fail. Just move. Just go. Just trust in yourself. What's in you was given to you for a very specific reason, so that's exactly what you should do. Everybody's got a specific purpose in this life, and if your purpose is to write scripts and to be a filmmaker or an actor or director, go for it. Do it, because only you know what's best for you. If I'd have listened to everybody else when I was early 20s, people were trying to tell me, even beyond my early 20s, people trying to tell me what I could or couldn't do with my life, how I was going to you can be an actor, but you can't make a career at it. I heard that all the time. I'll never forget when I was 18, 19. I was 18 or 19. I graduated high school and I was starting out of junior college. I stepped into my guidance counselor's office and I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know how college worked. Nobody in my family ever went to college. I didn't know what was going on. So he asked me what I wanted to do. So I told him I wanted to be an actor. He said, okay, that's fine, but you need to figure out what you want to do for a career. He said, acting's great and all, but you can't make a career out of it. You can't make a living at that. And, nobody had really told me that quite yet. It didn't really hit me like that yet. Here I am. I'm a young adult male now. I'm 18, 19 years old. And my whole life, my whole goals, dreams, and aspirations were crushed right in front of me by the guidance counselor, by the person who's supposed to set me up in the direction that I wanted to go for my life and career. So my point is, listen to yourself. You know you better than anybody else, so listen to yourself. That voice that's within you, it's going to be a whisper. It's not going to yell at you, but it's going to whisper to you what you're here to do. Listen to that voice. So just kind of bringing this to a close here, guys, I just wanted to talk about the how. Again, don't get caught in it. Writer's block is it's a real thing, and it happens to all of us. If you're having issues creating ideas, watch some more films, watch some more TV shows, watch some old school films too. I'm big on 90s cinema because that's what I grew up with. So I will find inspiration from 90s films forever because there's so many elements to that era of filmmaking that just have stuck with me. And there's a lot of things when I watch a film again that I haven't seen in a while, or even if I have seen it several times, there's always something new that I'll pick up on. So I suggest continually watch film. Continually watch new film too. Continually watch old films. There's so much out there to study, and that will get those juices flowing, those creative wheels turning. And you will eventually create an idea or ideas that you can start mapping out and scripting. So just remember, it's a step-by-step process. That ultimate goal of your script, your story, whatever it is, once you create it, what's the message? Like I said, the most important thing you should ask yourself is, what is the message of my film? You can accomplish anything if you break it down into steps, right? You don't climb Mount Everest in one step, right? That takes steps. It takes a lot of work to climb that mountain. So it's just like anything else. It takes time, right? So take your time, trust the process, and, just let it flow. Don't rush it, trust it. Be ready and willing to put the work in. And when I say work, I mean work. All right, guys. So like I said, think about your ideas, watch some old film, start writing it down. The more that you write down something centered on this particular genre, this message, the story, the length, the era, all these things, you start writing them down, more ideas will just start flowing, I promise you. So just write, just move, continually go. Remember, it's a work in progress, just like life. That's why your goals should always reflect that. Always set new goals. So, okay, cool. My first goal, I want to write 1 page of script by the end of the day. Okay, cool. cool. That's a step. Tomorrow, I want to write 2 pages of script by the end of the day. Okay, cool. That's another step. Okay, step-by-step process. Every single thing can be accomplished. Break it down into steps. In the creative process, if it's in you, it's in you. The ideas, they flow. But sometimes they can be a little tough. So hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit. If you get stuck on the how, you get stuck in that little bit of a rut, which can be paralyzing at some points in time. So that's a key component with this whole thing. Work in progress. Always remind yourself that it doesn't, and it's honestly, it's never going to be perfect. It'll never be perfect, just like life. Life's never going to be perfect, and life is a constant work in progress, as it should be. So that's why setting the new goals every single day. Like I said, you got 1 page, that's your goal one day. Okay, 2 pages the next day. But always steadily increase those goals. Steadily increase them. This goes for career and life. For me, career and life are one and the same. A question I get a lot is, people ask me, how do I find the time to do all this? Right? But bodybuilding, acting, writing, filmmaking, directing, it's all so easy to me. I love what I do so much that it's almost effortless. I have to start every single day in the gym, so that's effortless for me. It's how I start my day. If I don't go to the gym first thing in the morning, it throws my routine off. And the common practice between most successful people in this world is they have a routine. They follow a routine. Everybody's got the same 24. We've all got the same 24 hours. But it's how you use those 24 hours. That's how you're going to get ahead. And that's how you're going to make a difference and create this life that you want to create. And do these things that you want to do. So like I said, for me, it's almost effortless. Just a couple days ago, I was on set for 14 hours. And I could have kept going. And it's because of the fact that I love what I do so much, it doesn't feel like work. So we've all got the same 24 hours. It's how you break those down. Okay? We'll get into that in another episode. That's a whole other thing. We could talk about routine and all that, because I'd love to help with that as well, because it took me a while to get it. But if I can help some of these younger kids, especially these young men, some of you guys out there were in the same position that I was in my early 20s. I was lost. I was just floating around. I didn't have a damn clue. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to leave it there for episode number 2. I hope that this was informative and helpful for everybody. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us through email, through social media, and we will be sure to get back to you. And topic requests are always welcome. If you guys have any requests or any ideas or suggestions or otherwise, please feel free to send them our way. Thank you guys again so much. It was a pleasure. I love doing this. I love being able to talk to you guys, and I love being able to help in any way, shape, or form. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.